going to look at probably the two greatest warriors of the early 20th century, Theodore Roosevelt versus Lawrence of Arabia.
I love this matchup. I think these are two amazing men, and what they've accomplished in their lives is incredible. Roosevelt was a politician, a leader, a hard charger, a cowboy, very smart, focused, had a ton of willpower. In 1898, he created the Rough Riders to take San Juan Hill, winning the Spanish American War against T.E. Lawrence. This man found a way to overcome any obstacle that got in his way. 1916 and 1918, he managed to unite the Arabs in a revolt that allows the British Empire to defeat the Ottoman Empire and win World War I.
The time periods at which they were fighting were actually fairly close together. So we're going to see a lot of similar type of weapons. Roosevelt's Gatling gun could spit out 900 rounds per minute versus the Vickers. I can't wait to see these two weapons go head to head.
These are two dynamic characters, both physically fit, both psychologically strong. It's the ultimate test of the toughest guy.
These are two brilliant guys. They're great warriors. I'm excited to see how this thing unfolds.
Teddy Roosevelt, the all-American hero who led his famous Rough Riders on a suicide charge that turned the tide of the Spanish American War. Versus Lawrence of Arabia, Great Britain's first special operative. He built a fierce Arab army to fight against the powerful Turkish Ottoman Empire and help seal the Allied victory in the First World War. Who is Deadliest? To find out, the history of war and modern science collide as former Navy SEAL Richard Mac Makowitz dives deep into the tactics of the warriors behind the weapons. Biomedical engineer Jeff DeMolin applies 21st century technology to unlock new data on arsenals of the past. And ER physician Armand Doherty dissects the trauma and reveals the physical and psychological traits that shaped these legends of war. This groundbreaking data will be paired with historical research and entered into an all-new digital combat engine. Two legendary combatants will be resurrected. History will be rewritten. But only one will be crowned Deadliest Warrior. Welcome to the Fight Club. Here our experts will unlock historical insights that will determine which legendary leader is deadliest. Lawrence of Arabia, the fearless British officer whose ferocious Arab army used guerrilla-style sneak attacks to bring down a mighty empire. Or Teddy Roosevelt, the brash and brawny U.S. Army colonel who overthrew Spanish tyrants in Cuba before becoming the 26th president.
As a physician, I want to break it down with the tale of the tape. In their prime, we have Roosevelt, 39 years old, 5'8", 210 pounds. T.E. Lawrence, he's 29 years old, 5'5", 130 pounds. Big difference, 80-pound difference. Roosevelt, at a young age, he had severe asthma, as well as severe vision issues, but he trained heavily. The guy was fit. And then you have Lawrence of Arabia. He could run a mile under 5 minutes. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke. This guy was in great shape.
Doc, I think you make a great point. Lawrence is special. He speaks 7 languages, a student of architecture. This man wandered through all the Middle East just to prove he was tough enough to do it. Roosevelt, he was the assistant secretary of the Navy. He resigns his position so he can fight in the Spanish American War. Physically tough, mentally tough, and able to execute when it mattered most on a battlefield.
Couldn't agree more, Mac. And for the first time on Deadliest Warrior, we're going to take a look at crew-served weapons. So up to 5 guys on both weapons. Moving on to rifles. What I love about these weapons is that they're both bolt action. We've got some pretty interesting tests set up to evaluate these.
The weapons tests results will be entered into the new digital combat engine created by Robert Daly, a former Green Beret and designer of more than 30 military-based video games, including the Deadliest Warrior game. To simulate 5,000 battles between these two combatants, the engine will combine the weapons data with over 100 X-factors, critical intangibles, assigned values based on extensive historical research of each warrior's life, tactics, and psychological profile.
This is a fantastic matchup because you look at these two individuals and they're larger-than-life characters. And because they're leaders, we have to take them in a leadership role. So it's 5-on-5. Teddy and his Rough Riders versus Lawrence and his Bedouin tribesmen.
Wielding weapons for Lawrence of Arabia, Richard Reed. first-class marksman with special forces and espionage training from the British Army.
What Lawrence managed to do is really been unmatched by any other warrior. His leadership qualities, his modern approach he took to warfare was so ahead of his time.
Providing crucial historical analysis, former BBC reporter and renowned T. Lawrence scholar, Gavin Scott.
What made him such a powerful person was that he harnessed his willpower to his imagination. He wanted to change the world, and he also had the ability to inspire others to do the same thing.
Fascinated with Arabic culture, Lawrence traveled throughout the Middle East as a young man. There, he witnessed Arabs suffering atrocities at the hands of the Ottoman Turks. Determined to avenge this savagery, Lawrence volunteered as a British Army liaison officer in 1916. World War I had been raging for 2 years. The Ottoman Turks, Germany's ally, ruled over the crucial Arabian oil fields with an iron fist. Lawrence's mission: help the British build an Arab army to battle the Turks and win the war for the Allies.
The Arabs respected Lawrence enormously for his ability to do the things that they prized. Ride camels, shoot. They admired him because he was even tougher than they were.
Lawrence used this trust and admiration to unite the Arabs against the mighty Ottoman Empire. His hit-and-run tactics led to key victories for the Allied forces.
He moved fast, effectively, and he got out of the way as soon as the job was done. He would vanish into the desert with his men and appear hundreds of miles away and do it again. This empire had lasted for half a millennium, had dominated the Middle East, and he brought that empire to its knees.
But can this devil of the desert conquer the brilliance and bravery of Theodore Roosevelt? Handling the weapons for Teddy Roosevelt is Quay Terry, an 18-year veteran and former gunnery sergeant with the U.S. Marines. Terry has combat-trained American troops all over the world.
What made Colonel Roosevelt a great warrior was his leadership abilities. There are certain things that you do in a battle situation that normal people wouldn't want to do, and Colonel Roosevelt did them.
Joining the charge with in-depth knowledge of Roosevelt's battles, weapons, and tactics, military historian and armorer Gary Harper.
Theodore Roosevelt said, the best thing you can do in an emergency situation is the right thing. The second best thing you can do is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing at all. Teddy Roosevelt never did nothing at all.
Roosevelt's obsessive need to prove himself in battle has its roots in his childhood.
He had this stigma of believing that his father was a coward during the Civil War for buying his way out of service, and it haunted him. He needed to prove himself for his honor.
As an adult, Roosevelt was a devoted public servant. In 1898, he was serving as Assistant Secretary of the Navy when the USS Maine sank in Havana Harbor on Spanish-ruled Cuba. America declared war on Spain, and Roosevelt gave up his desk job to join the fight. He handpicked his own army unit and called it the 1st U.S. Volunteer Cavalry Regiment. The press named them the Rough Riders.
He wanted something that epitomized the nature of America, so he was giving people from all these different walks of life a chance to participate, from Harvard and Yale students to the dregs of the street, from cowboys to statesmen.
From the moment they hit Cuba, the Rough Riders were overwhelmed by tropical heat and disease. These loyal soldiers growing weaker by the hour. Roosevelt knew he had to strike hard and fast or be wiped out by the enemy. The opposing Spanish forces were entrenched in heavily fortified positions at the top of San Juan Hill. Roosevelt rallied his men and fearlessly led the Rough Riders into a hail of bullets. The strategic position was captured, a legend was born, and America's reputation as a world power was secured.
Roosevelt knew that in order to be that power, we had to exhibit, display, and prove that power.
Both Lawrence and Roosevelt used modernized long-range rapid-fire weapons to mow down their enemies. Now, these death machines will be tested against each other, shot for shot, kill for kill. Roosevelt took out the Spanish with the Gatling gun. Mechanized mayhem that first saw battle in the Civil War.
The Gatling gun, purely an American invention. The 10 barrels, 10 bolt, 10 firing pins. It's hand cranked. You can reach rates of fire of up to 900 rounds a minute. In 1968, this weapon was reconstituted as the minigun on our helicopters. It was actually invented by a doctor during the Civil War. Dr. Richard Jordan Gatling thought if he could invent a weapon that would fire as fast as a company of soldiers, they wouldn't draft so many men and send them off to war.
So it's basically like 10 bolt-action rifles working together in concert over and over and over again.
Yes, especially when you go to clean it, you realize it's 10 bolt-action rifles.
Perfect.
Here's the test. It's a defensive scenario. You have the high ground, you must keep it.
To test the accuracy and effectiveness of each weapon, our experts will fire 250 rounds to take out 15 static troops and 3 advancing soldiers as fast as possible.
And you will be timed. Roosevelt experts, you're up first.
On 3, 2, 1, crank them out!
That is awesome.
That's awesome. Holy. You would not want to be running into that thing, man.
Yeah, baby!
Yep, that's it.
Time! 1 minute, 11 seconds.
Wow. First moving target, you've got multiple rounds delivered through the face, jaw, through the chest, center of the mass. I mean, this is instant kill. Number 2, beautiful demonstration of multiple rounds, all center of mass. You're in double digits here on one guy. Oh, wow. Look at this. Straight through the chest, fracture that sternum, multiple rounds delivered in the belly. This is an instant kill, and that's what we want to demonstrate.
Okay, guys, looks like you're 3 for 3 on the moving targets, and on the static targets, 10 hits out of 15 targets. And 1 minute, 11 seconds.
It really comes down to looking at these charging targets. I imagine if you were coming up that hill behind these guys and you were literally watching guy after guy get mowed down, that's going to have a huge psychological play on you. You're going to feel that sense of being intimidated and dominated on that battle space, and I think those are going to be big X factors that we're going to have to plug into the sim.
When I started seeing the holes in the blood, it became like squirting a water hose. There's no recoil on the gun. It's going to do exactly what I want it to do. There's the eerie feeling I have to shoot through the dead bodies to get to the live ones at the bottom of the hill.
You know what? It looks like a very nice gun. I think it would look great in a museum or at a parade. But Lawrence's Vickers is 50 years newer and 50 times as deadly.
Coming up, bullets fly as Lawrence takes aim at the competition. Jeff separates fact from fiction to reveal the lethal power of 2 legendary weapons. And all hell breaks loose in the chaos of close combat. Lawrence of Arabia, Teddy Roosevelt, who is deadliest? Teddy Roosevelt, rough-riding hero of the Spanish American War, versus Lawrence of Arabia, the fearless desert warrior of World War I. He divided, then destroyed his Turkish enemy with a brilliant strategy of diversionary attacks against their vital Hijaz railway supply line.
It would have been tempting to destroy the railway. But he realized that by blowing up individual trains and giving the Turks time to repair it, there would be a constant supply of trains and troops and loot coming down that line that he could pick off at will. So by not completely destroying it, but by disrupting it, he kept draining the Turkish manpower and Turkish resources into a useless enterprise.
This legendary showdown kicked off with Roosevelt's long-range weapon of choice, the Gatling gun. Now, Lawrence of Arabia fires back with his own rapid-fire killer, the Vickers. The British Army's primary machine gun for more than 50 years, served up death at 500 rounds a minute.
The Vickers made all the difference to Lawrence because he was up against superior forces in terms of numbers, and he was able to give his irregular forces a powerful weapon which evened the odds.
It fires a 303 round. By calling the system, you could do much longer bursts of fire. Water would be put in through this tap and drained out through this tap at the end. But in the desert, water is obviously in short supply, so it's not unheard of for soldiers to urinate for it to operate. But the uric acid would actually be very damaging to the gun itself.
Also, urinating under pressure is very difficult.
And then there's that.
Test the Vickers for accuracy and effectiveness. The Lawrence team will fire 250 rounds at 15 static targets and 3 simulated charging enemy soldiers. The time to beat, the Gatling gun's 1 minute, 11 seconds.
Nice. Jam.
Jam. Somebody needs to piss in the tube.
Nice and slow. Nice and slow.
Oh, yeah, baby. Now we're talking. Easy picking. Easy picking. Yeah. Nice. Check that out.
All right, clear.
1 minute, 41 seconds. 30 seconds slower than the Gatling gun.
The Vickers ties the Gatling gun's 3 instant kills on the moving targets.
Look at this one. Dead center in that big juicy aorta. You shoot that, you're going to bleed out, drop your blood pressure in a few seconds, be unconscious, and die.
And talking about a juicy aorta, check that out. The jacket on this is completely peeled back. This going through your body is a lot of transferred energy.
Exactly. You see all these little fragments. It's not a smooth little circle that we think of a bullet. It's just tearing away tissue.
And talking about the Vickers, you're 3 for 3 on the moving targets, and I counted 11 for 15 on the static targets in 1 minute, 41 seconds.
As soon as I opened fire, I encountered a blockage. As soon as the gun was corrected, I could quite casually relax and pick off targets, and I had a long burst of fire.
For all the challenges we found with it, this weapon did do the job that Lawrence needed it to do. Out the Turks were standing in his way. It enabled him to win.
With all said and done, you've got 1 barrel. You had a few jams, but you couldn't fire that weapon until you cleared that barrel. With the Gatling gun, we've got 10 barrels. If I have a problem, I can pull a bolt and continue firing with the other 9 barrels.
Lawrence's Vickers hit more targets, but Roosevelt's Gatling was faster and didn't jam. So which rapid-fire gun gets the edge?
I have to admit, I was giving my edge to the Vickers right off the bat. I thought it was the more recent technology, but after seeing these 2 tests, I liken the Gatling gun.
Multiple rounds and each target, instant kills. It goes to show you, it was designed by a doctor. Listen, that Gatling gun was already proven by the time it got into Roosevelt's hands versus a piece of technology that hadn't yet seen its heyday. I think clearly my edge goes to Gatling gun all the way.
For long-range weapons, edge, Teddy Roosevelt. As the enemy was suppressed by long-range firepower, both Lawrence's Arab Army and Roosevelt's Rough Riders would advance bolt-action rifles. Lawrence's Arab Army terrorized the Turks with the SMLE. Short magazine Lee Enfield was the British military standard issue for over 50 years.
The main benefit of this rifle was the speed of the bolt action. Troops were able to cock and reload the next round very rapidly, between 25 to 40 rounds per minute. So if you had a section of men firing at that speed, it was often mistaken for machine gun fire.
Roosevelt's Rough Riders take aim with the Krag, the U.S. Army's first smokeless powder carbine.
Very light, very accurate, shoots the 30-40 Krag round, 5-round internal magazine, or you can single shot it through what is acclaimed as the smoothest bolt ever invented.
Killing capacity of each bolt-action rifle will be tested by measuring muzzle velocity and target damage. In addition, Jeff will measure each weapon's recoil force, a key factor that can negatively affect accuracy.
When you pull that trigger, you've got the gases pushing on this bullet, pushing it down the barrel. But there's an opposite and reactive force traveling through the stock and back into this man's shoulder.
A load cell attached to the butt of each rifle will measure recoil force. Experts will fire live rounds through a chronometer into a block of FBI-certified ballistics clay to determine muzzle velocity and get an assessment of the overall damage. Richard's up first, firing Lawrence of Arabia's SMLE.
Woo!
Next, Quay takes aim with Roosevelt's Krag carbine.
Nice. Muzzle velocity. Off the SMLE, we got 2,592 feet per second versus the Krag, 1958 feet per second.
A higher muzzle velocity offers potential for more damage to the target. But Jeff has to examine the ballistics clay to get a complete picture of the rifle's destructive power.
Let's take a look at Quay with the Krag. And what I'm getting off the temporary cavity here is 5 inches at the widest point. Looking at the SMLE, I'm measuring a full width of this clay block, which is 5.5 inches. We got a higher muzzle velocity off Richard's SMLE, and I'm seeing here a larger temporary cavity. So in my opinion, the SMLE does more damage.
Next, Jeff examines the load cell readings to determine each rifle's recoil force.
On the Krag, only a recoil of about 9 pounds. Let's take a look at the SMLE. Okay, big difference actually, over 37 pounds of recoil.
That's a huge factor. I mean, if you look at the body size of these two warriors, you've got Roosevelt, he is 5'8", 210 pounds, and he's got the lighter rifle with the less recoil. Then you take Lawrence, on the other hand, he's 5'5", 135 pounds. He's got the heavier weapon with a much larger recoil. If somebody constantly takes recoil into their shoulder in a drawn-out battle, that's going to be a factor, and that's an X factor with regards to endurance and physicality that we can put into the sim.
Let's not forget, though, that Lawrence was supremely fit. This was a guy who could run a sub-5-minute mile. If anyone could take the kind of punishment you're talking about, Lawrence could.
There is more recoil with this weapon, but as you saw, it causes more damage.
Craig is beautiful to shoot. That kick that it gives, childish. I mean, you could shoot this thing all day long.
Coming up, bolt-action rifles taste the heat of battle. And later, Mac tears apart the tactics that beat the odds and claim victory for these two legendary warriors.
This is a brutal battle.
Teddy Roosevelt or Lawrence of Arabia? Who will be the deadliest warrior? Lawrence of Arabia, British special operative who built an Arab army. Their bloody battles against the massive Turkish war machine changed the course of World War I. Versus Teddy Roosevelt. His heroics in the Spanish American War captured the respect of the world on his way to becoming America's 26th president.
He had a saying, he would rather go down in glorious defeat than share the ranks with those timid souls that knew neither victory nor defeat. He not only went where the action was, he dropped everything to do it.
Jeff's first round of bolt-action rifle tests revealed Lawrence's SMLE inflicts more target damage. It also takes a higher toll on the shooter, delivering 4 times the recoil impact as Roosevelt's Krag. Now, let's find out which rifle is more accurate and deadly under the 20th century battle conditions our warriors face.
We know that both Lawrence of Arabia and Theodore Roosevelt had to storm entrenched positions. The area between your trench and your enemy's trench was known as no man's land.
To test each rifle's accuracy, maneuverability, and reload time, our experts will attack an opposing enemy trench with 8 targets, 3 static, 3 moving, and 2 reactive pop-ups. First, they'll run to a concealed firing position 75 yards out and fire 10 rounds. Next, they'll advance 15 yards through the no man's land, avoiding razor wire and simulated artillery strikes to a second position and fire 10 more rounds.
So, Quay, you're up first with the Krag. On 3, 2, 1, charge! Oh, yeah! Nice! Oh, he missed it.
Dead center, nice.
That was a hit.
Quay must reload the Krag's 5-round magazine, 1 bullet at a time.
Got it. There we go. Oh, yeah! There we go, second firing position.
Move it, move it, move it. Get down, get down, get down, get down.
Telling you though, the reload is killing him.
That's it.
Yeah, sweet.
That's it. There you go.
They mincemeat of those targets. Oh!
The charge is awesome.
Nice shot.
Excellent. There you go. That's another one.
Oh, yeah!
That's great. Nicely done.
Time! Nice work. 2 minutes, 26 seconds.
Beautiful.
8 targets, 8 instant kills.
It looks like it's ricocheting off the sandbag, tumbling, causing a lot bigger hole. That by itself is an instant kill.
Quay killed every target and scored 16 hits with 20 shots from the Krag. Total hit ratio, 80%.
You brought your best game to the table, moving in and taking your shots, reloading your magazine. You got all of your instant kills. When you're talking about X factors for the sim, Roosevelt and his Rough Riders demonstrated calm under fire.
What really it comes down to is the training. Roosevelt's men were very well trained with these carbines. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to use them. I've been through similar training, and you can see the results.
All right, Richard, what do you think?
I have a longer barrel, better accuracy, and a magazine that holds 10 rounds. So I hope to do the same amount of damage, but in a shorter amount of time.
On 3, 2, 1, charge! Oh!
Get down, get down, get down! That's it.
There we go. Nice shot.
There you go.
Oh, pop-up target.
Excellent.
He's getting those rounds off nice. Oh, he missed it.
That's another one.
Stay low, stay low.
Richard reloads the SMLE using a 10-round stripper clip.
Nice.
That looks like a miss.
There you go.
There you go, brother. There you go.
Nice, that was it. Missed it. Nice shot.
Come on, bring it home, bring it home.
That is a hit. Time, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Nice work.
Excellent, excellent.
This by itself is an instant kill, but you're going to get the trachea, maybe not rupture it, but you'll tear it, it'll leak. This guy's untouched. He lives to fight.
Richard killed 7 out of 8 targets. He scored 14 hits with 20 shots from the SMLE. Total hit ratio, 70%.
When you're under pressure, it can be difficult, especially with the heavy artillery fire that was simulated in this exercise. But the great thing was the bolt action. It meant that you could fire your 10 rounds very quickly.
Once again, I think the Krag proved itself. Lighter, more maneuverable, all 8 targets, instant kills.
Lawrence's SMLE caused more damage and had a faster reload time. But Roosevelt's Krag proved more accurate with a quarter of the SMLE's recoil. So which bolt-action rifle gets the edge?
On the controlled test, I like the SMLE because there was more damage there. Moving to the dynamic shooting environment test, I like the SMLE as well. He was able to move through it faster, 2 minutes, 15 seconds versus 2 minutes, 26 seconds, because he's got a 10-round magazine on this weapon.
The rifle that actually hit the right spot every single time, whether it was in the control study or on the field in the dynamic study, was the Krag. With the SMLE, the recoil is so much greater. Now you put that in a long gunfight, that's going to start wearing on your shoulder. You're not going to have the perfect position after a while.
With the Krag, you're talking about an advantage with functionality. With the SMLE, you're talking about an advantage with technology. It's basically a wash. To me, it's even.
The medium-range weapons, it's dead even. Up next, with Roosevelt ahead, can Lawrence even the score with his close-range killer? And Mac jumps into the trenches of 2 great victories. Roosevelt's charge up San Juan Hill.
We're going to die if we stay here.
And Lawrence's siege at the port of Aqaba.
This is a complete diversionary tactic.
Teddy Roosevelt or Lawrence of Arabia? Who is deadliest? Lawrence of Arabia versus Teddy Roosevelt. Mac will examine the battlefield tactics of these 2 legendary leaders, a crucial X-factor used by the digital combat engine to help determine which combat commander is deadliest.
What is one of Roosevelt's favorite battlefield strategies and tactics?
Charge. I like to think of it as to suppress and slaughter his enemy.
Suppress and slaughter. Give me a perfect example of that.
Battle of San Juan Hill.
We're going to use the touch table and go there now.
There it is, Cuba, our backyard. We have San Juan Hill. We have Spanish entrenched positions waiting for an enemy to attack them. Roosevelt, the Rough Riders, they're in a riverbed. They're taking artillery fire. They're taking small arms fire.
He's in trouble, right? They just start delivering effective fire on top of them.
Yes, Roosevelt is looking at this going, we're dying, we're losing men, and we're doing nothing. So this Gatling gun detachment, they begin firing.
The Gatling gun coming online starts delivering suppressive fire.
Roosevelt hears this distinctive fire, looks up the hill, sees the Spaniards starting to go down. The men raise a cheer, and with him at the lead, they come out of their position and charge. It takes them 8 minutes to reach the top. In that 8 minutes, the Gatling gun detachment fires 18,000 rounds.
Wow. They're attacking from the front, they're attacking from the side, almost in a flanking maneuver, and they capture San Juan Hill. And this all leads to winning the Spanish American War.
Oh, yeah. Spain never came back, did they?
When the fight moved into the trenches, the warriors unsheathed their close combat blades. Rough Rider's knife of choice, the Bowie Hunter. Its clip point design allows a faster, deeper thrust.
It's tough. and it can do a lot of things.
You could picture a horse, open a can of beans, but it was also used and really well adapted for hunting. Clip point, blood groove, this same concept is used by the Marine Corps today.
Well, I think yours looks very helpful on a camping trip, but if I was going into battle, I prefer to have this.
Lawrence of Arabia's preferred blade weapon, the Jambia dagger, the traditional knife of nomadic Arab tribes.
The scabbard's got a much larger curve to it than the actual dagger. And the reason for this is they'd be carried and hooked onto a belt in their clothing so that when the dagger was drawn, the scabbard would stay hooked down underneath the belt.
Lawrence, he adopted the clothing, he adopted the Jambia, and in fact, just how proud he was is indicated by the fact that in the last image we have of him, the marble effigy on his sarcophagus, there is his Jambia in his belt.
Because trench warfare was confined chaos, Jeff will test the damage and close-quarter effectiveness of each blade as enemies close in from both sides.
Right over there will be a pig coming down on this zip line. Take him out. But you'll also have to react to your second target coming towards you at 180 degrees. Take him out. Quay, you'll be up first with Roosevelt's Bowie Hunter.
A 3D orientation sensor will measure the impact velocity of each blade to determine which one delivers the quickest kill.
On 3, 2, 1, release the pig! Nice. There you go. Nice.
Excellent. All right, Quay. This is not an instant kill. It's not even a mortal wound. It's going to hurt, may make his arm useless, but still going to be able to fight. Target number 2. A beautifully delivered blow. This one is deep enough to cause an instant kill, and this is exactly where you want to go.
Blade is heavy. It's made for stabbing. It goes right in.
One mortal wound, one instant kill. Impact velocity, 42 miles per hour. Up next, Lawrence's deadly Jambia dagger.
Release the pig!
There you go. Excellent.
Nice.
This is a huge laceration. This is gonna love to bleed. It's not gonna kill by itself, but when you get into the stabs higher up, you did another laceration here. This one is close to 3 inches, which is great because you're lacerating through all of those vessels there. Well, this is an instant kill by itself.
The Jambia scores 2 instant kills. The blade's curved design helps increase Richard's impact velocity to 51 miles per hour, 20% faster than the Bowie Hunter.
In the end, you had to strike it a lot of times. You get it once, and it kills. That's all you need. You have to stab it 50, 60 times. A lot of wasted energy.
Roosevelt's Bowie Hunter proves to be a deadly efficient killer. But the curved blade of Lawrence's Jambia dagger delivers swift death with both thrusts and slashes. So which blade gives its warrior the edge?
I think when you're entering that trench and you want to deliver that lethal blow, which one sends a more intimidating message?
So I guess in this case, size doesn't matter?
Size is definitely intimidating.
For close-range weapons, edge, Lawrence of Arabia. Because battlefield tactics are an essential X factor for the digital combat engine, Mac analyzes Lawrence's guerrilla warfare methods.
What is one of Lawrence's favorite battlefield strategy and tactics?
To hit hard and to vanish into the desert. He called it the Phantom Army. Perfect example is the way that he took the port of Akbar here.
All right, let's go there.
The obvious thing to do is to head straight for Akbar. It's too obvious because the Turks are too powerful.
So he would be certainly destroyed if he tried to do a direct assault.
Absolutely. So he has to fool them. He wants the Turks to believe he's actually going to Damascus, way up in the north.
All right, Damascus, here we come.
North to Damascus. See this explosion there? The Turks would send a train, he'd blow it up. That convinced the Turks that his objective was Damascus.
So they race up here. What's Lawrence do?
He races down here.
This is a complete diversionary tactic, isn't it?
Yes.
As Lawrence's Phantom Army tactic unfolds, bulk of Turk forces race to Damascus, leaving only one Turkish battalion to defend Aqaba.
Now it's going to be a pitched battle. The Arabs didn't really want to attack the Turks because the Turks had machine guns. So what does Lawrence do? He goes up to the hill and he buries his head in his hands. And that infuriates them. They're humiliated by this.
Lawrence actually figures out, I'm going to use psychological warfare on my own guys.
Yes.
I'm going to call their manhoods into question.
Yes.
And they literally wipe out this battalion.
Totally. 300 dead, 200 prisoners.
And Lawrence has proven his phantom strategy and tactics work on the battlefield. They took Aqaba and changed the whole outcome of World War I.
Changed the history of the Middle East.
Roosevelt was fortunate to come out of San Juan Hill alive. His suppress and slaughter worked for him on that day. But when you look at T.E. Lawrence's ability to adapt, improvise, and overcome on the battlefield, his use of deception in the deserts of Arabia, T.E. Lawrence gets to the edge.
Battlefield tactics, edge, Lawrence of Arabia. Next, the neck-and-neck battle between two legends of war explodes in a fierce and final showdown. Teddy Roosevelt and Lawrence of Arabia. Who is deadliest? Teddy Roosevelt versus Lawrence of Arabia. Who is deadliest? Our team of specialists has tested and analyzed the weapons these two battlefield icons brought to this showdown. For long-range weapons, Lawrence's Vickers machine gun came up short against Roosevelt's Gatling gun. Medium-range weapons, a dead-even draw between Roosevelt's more accurate Krag carbine and Lawrence's more powerful SMLE rifle. In close-range weapons, Roosevelt's Bowie Hunter was sliced apart by Lawrence's curved blade Jambia dagger. The battlefield tactics, Roosevelt's suppress and slaughter strategy was outflanked by Lawrence's Phantom Army. Robert Daly has entered the crucial weapons data into the digital combat engine. His team of engineers and historians has also completed their vital research and assigned numeric values to more than 100 X factors.
There's all of these intangibles that really make the difference when you go out on the battlefield. What their diet is, what their technology is. Our historians and our researchers go through all this data and rate everything from 1 to 100, 100 being the perfect warrior.
How do you factor in calm under fire inside the sim?
Calm under fire does swing towards Teddy in this because Teddy really did have to go in there and mix it up. I mean, he's shooting Spaniards at 15, 20 feet. Calm under fire for Teddy is an 86 versus Lawrence's 81.
Makes sense to me. It really does.
And when you think about not only physical endurance, but the psychological endurance that they had to have to withstand the elements, to withstand the desert, to withstand the jungle environment.
It really comes down to Lawrence's sub 5-minute mile. And look at the hardships that he's going through. For endurance, we rated Teddy at a 71, but Lawrence at an 88.
Okay, guys, the X factors were close in this one. The test results were close in this one. Let's run the sim.
The digital combat engine will execute 5,000 battle simulations, pitting Teddy Roosevelt and 4 Rough Riders against Lawrence of Arabia and 4 of his Bedouin fighters.
Get that Gatling gun forward! Move it! Right there, turn it! Sit down!
one of the closest battles that we've had to date. Teddy ends up winning slightly, 25-82 to Lawrence's 24-18. It was so close.
Lawrence of Arabia prevailed in the majority of X factors, like endurance and tactics. But they couldn't overcome the overwhelming advantage Roosevelt's more reliable Gatling gun had over Lawrence's Vickers.
Teddy Roosevelt's Gatling gun ended up scoring 10,316 kills versus Lawrence's Vickers' 7,544 kills. Lawrence had many of the X factors going for him. He had newer technology, but newer does not always mean better. You got Teddy and his Rough Riders having that tried and true technology.
I knew it was going to be close, and the fact that Teddy was able to pull it out, it goes to show that a guy who may have started off with severe illness like asthma, poor vision, can not only be an unbelievable warrior, but beat a warrior like Lawrence of Arabia.
One of Theodore Roosevelt's greatest attributes was his ability to pick a target and keep going at it no matter what. This guy had this iron will to get things done and would never quit until he accomplished it.
Next Wednesday, it's a battle of the butchers. As Russian Tsar Ivan the Terrible,
He will butcher anybody, even his own men.
takes on ruthless Spanish explorer Hernan Cortez.
I love it. Gonna be off the charts when it comes to who's gonna kill who.
Don't miss an all-new Deadliest Warrior next Wednesday at 10 on Spike.